Hi, I'm Beth. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this practice. This is the first time that I'm offering a yoga remix. This is a yin yoga practice in which I've taken 3 different yin yoga postures from 3 different videos. They're all focused on the hips, so I've blended them together to make a nice, short, quick hip practice that'll leave you feeling both stretched and soothed in the area of your hips. Please give it a try and let me know what you think. Let's get going. Luckily, we can use the same setup for our next pose, although again, you might find that you don't need props at all. In fact, I think I'll try taking away the one bolster. So this is going to be another supported pose. We'll turn around. Our back is going to come right up to the support. If you're using the support, you can be flat on your back or the bed for this. The soles of our feet are going to come together, and this is going to be a reclined butterfly pose. So we start to lean back, and I like the bolster to be, my hips to be, or my sit bones to be slightly away from the bolster, and the bolster to hit me somewhere just above my sacrum. And then lie back. I'm just slide my other bolster out of the way so I can lie back, let my hands come out to rest. Now this feels great for me, for my body. If having your knees open like this, it feels like too much in your inner thighs, you see I have the blocks behind me. You can grab one of the blocks or a blanket or another pillow and place those under your thighs for support. If the effect of gravity is feeling nice for you here, simply allow gravity to do its work. Your hands can also rest on the inside of your thighs, or you can rest them somewhere in your torso, maybe over your belly button, to draw your attention in toward your breath and feel your breath as it moves in and out. If you want to learn more about the practice of yin yoga, it is a unique practice in yoga, different from restorative poses or restorative practice. In restorative, we might be propped in the same way, but we're trying to prop ourselves up in restorative so that we don't feel any stretch. So if I was doing a restorative practice, I would definitely put something under my legs so I wasn't feeling any stretch. I was just feeling support in my body. In yin, we're looking to stimulate some part of our connective tissue, not necessarily the larger muscles, but the tendons, the fascia, the smaller things that help our muscles do their jobs. And so in that case, I'm not using anything for support because I feel a stretch without that support. Now, if you want to read more or learn more than what I just told you, there are several good books out there. One of them that I used as a basis for developing some of these practices is Norman Blair's Yin Yoga book. And I highly recommend that. I'll link to it in the bottom. He calls several of the yin yoga postures the most important postures. There's 9 total postures that he says are the most important in yin yoga. I'm going to incorporate some of those into each of these 3 practices, morning, noon, and night, that I do. For this practice, child's pose, which we did first, was one of the 9. This pose, butterfly, is also one of the 9. And then we'll do one more too that is one of the 9. So obviously I'm talking to you, letting you know I'm still here. You, however, I hope are simply releasing your body into your prop, into the pose, drawing your attention to the sense of stimulation or stretch that you're getting from the particular pose, and feeling how your breath is nourishing you in the posture. Again, maybe putting both hands over your belly, or one hand over your heart, one over your belly, so that you can feel your breath go in and out. And we'll stay in this posture about 1 more minute. Feeling your breath. anytime that you need to take yourself out of a posture before I cue it, you are welcome to do that. Yin encouraging us to listen to our bodies and what they're saying. So if it starts to veer from simply feeling sensation into something that's painful and feels sharp or harmful, yes, you definitely want to move. In this case, for example, you might straighten your legs out and take a little rest here before we move. We're going to slowly start to move to transition to our next posture. We'll come to sitting up first. So use your hands. Remember that we move slowly as we transition. Start to prop yourself up to a seated position. And then our last pose for today is going to be a seated posture, a little bit more work for the hips and the glutes. I'll probably use the blocks, so I'm going to have those nearby. Turn around. Now you might want something to sit on. I'm going to grab my blanket here and put it behind me so that I can sit on the very edge of it. You'll see as I do that, and I have my legs crossed, just allows my knees to more comfortably open toward the floor. So as I said, this is going to be a hip stretch, also a lateral or side body stretch. So there are a couple of options, or more than one option. Have your right leg, if you're mirroring me, crossed in front of your left, your right shin crossed in front of your left. Now, if you're already feeling like sitting this way is a challenge, stay right here, or maybe even open this leg further out from your body to make this a little bit of a looser cross leg. If this is not so much of a challenge, or you want to try a little bit more, I'm going to take the block under the front shin, elevating a little bit, so that you're in a version of square pose. If I look down, I see this triangle in between my legs. That's the setup for square pose. And as you see that as I do this, my foot in front is about the same height as my knee. It's close enough that I can comfortably slide it over to my knee. Even though this is going to make my opposite knee up in the air, that's totally fine because it doesn't hurt me. It's not bothering me. If it bothered me at all but felt doable, I might put a block under to support it. If this was hurting my ankle or hurting my knee to be here, then I would keep my square pose right here. So you have all those different options, not using any props at all, keeping the shin crossed in front in a cross leg, or even a looser cross leg, placing it on your body with or without a prop. You could also have a blanket filling in the gap here. For today, I don't want to go quite so deep, even if I can. I don't want to go there today. This is feeling enough stretch for me today. I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to wiggle around until I make sure I'm really comfortable in my sits bones. This leg feels comfortably supported by my prop. Arms come down by my sides. And then we'll add the lateral stretch. So I'm going to take the same arm as the shin that's crossed in front. If you're mirroring me, it's going to be your right arm. Lift that right arm up overhead. Really lift out of the rib cage, out of the armpit, getting a lot of length here, and then hinging over only to the amount where I start to feel stretch, maybe in the side ribs. And remember, we're looking for a place that we can sustain. So I don't really push to go to, oh, that's my maximal stretch. I push to where, oh, all right, I feel this bit of a comfortable stretch right here. I feel like, yeah, I can do this. Look at my clock here for another 2 minutes. That feels really doable. So that's what we're going to do. So you're getting a lot of your money's worth here in this posture, hopefully. The goal is to get some stretch somewhere in the hip of the front leg. Maybe you feel it more around the glute. Maybe you feel it more in the front of the hips. We're looking for some kind of stretch in that area. And then the other target by adding this lateral stretch is on this side body. The person I did yin training with, she would say that if you get all of those areas, you've hit the jackpot of the pose. Now you might not. You might just get, a little bit of a payoff, and that's good too. If you hit the jackpot, great. That's your place, and you know to stay right there, and you are in your own best stretch. On this last minute, you'll notice if you're looking at me that I'm looking back at you. I'm looking at the camera. That's not necessary. It's not necessary for me to hold my head in space. I could turn my head down toward my bottom hand. And then I even get a little bit more of a bonus, a little bit of a neck stretch on the side of my neck that's facing the ceiling. All right, we'll be about 3 more breaths on this side. Imagining sending your breath particularly into those side ribs. And after your third exhale, start to unwind, lifting yourself back upright. You can use your hands to help your leg off your prop. Move the prop out of the way for a moment, and in fact, give your legs a little shake out for a moment. Feel nice to shake the legs out straight after we've had them bent like that. All right, we have one more side, one more little bit of this practice. Take one leg into cross, your opposite shin, your left shin, if you're mirroring me today, in front. Now remember, a cross leg, you'll still get that triangle in between your legs. This is a place you can stay. You can loosen your cross leg with the front leg coming out more. We can invite in our blocks don't escape us, the practice of props, where we put our shin on this prop. And if you decide to go further, this is a good gauge. So again, my foot is at least even a little bit higher than the knee, the shin on this side, which means I probably could slide it over comfortably. And when I do, yeah, that's comfortable for me. I could probably stay here without some support. In fact, this knee is lower than it was on the other side, so I actually have a little bit more flexibility on this side. But I'm feeling a lot of intensity here, more intensity than I want in order to sustain this pose. So I'm going to keep my leg right on the block, move around on my sits bones, make sure that that's comfortable, slide my opposite hand out to the side, reach up with the same hand as leg crossed in front, so left, left, reaching up tall, and then exhaling to the place that I can comfortably hold, wherever that is on this side. Now, just as there was a different level of flexibility in my hip joint and my knee joint on this side, there might be on my side body as well. So that might mean as I lean over, I feel the stretch sooner and I stop a little bit more upright. That might mean the side is more open and I have space to lean a little bit more to the side, which kind of seems like where I am on this side. You'll probably notice as you practice these yin practices with me that your body's abilities, your reach is different than mine. Of course it is. You don't have my body, I don't have yours. And that might mean things you didn't think of, like this bottom hand might not reach the floor. So look, there's another block here. This bottom hand can go on the block. Maybe the forearm, that doesn't quite do it for me. But if the hand on the block feels good, that's another option for you. So we have about another minute here. We started this practice moving the spine around. We invited some stretch into our upper back with our thread the needle and also with our melting heart. We started to get more movement, more stretch into the area of the hips and the glutes with our dragon. And then we're finishing with this square pose. We're targeting the hips and adding the lateral stretch. One more breath. Slowly move out of the posture on your exhale. Again, I encourage you to use your hands to help move your legs out of the pose. Set your props aside. Maybe give your legs one more shake out here. You might enjoy having the blanket under your head. You can have it a little bit less folded or a little bit more folded. So in this version, I'm going to place my folded blanket under my head so that it comes just under the occipital lobes, or the bony part in the back of my skull. What that does is it helps slightly tilt my chin forward toward my chest. And not only is that a really comfortable place for me to put my blanket, but that can help encourage a relaxation response in the body, for our parasympathetic nervous system to start activating. And when it activates, it helps slow everything down. And then for this version of constructive rest, I'm going to gently allow my knees to rest in together. So by doing that, I'm really taking out even more of the muscular action or activity. I don't have to hold anything up. My legs are supporting themselves like a little tent or a triangle. I'll place my hands down by my side, or perhaps you rest your hands on your belly. In any yoga practice, yin or hatha or restorative, any yoga practice, it's important to take time to rest at the end. It allows that physical synthesis of what you've done to sink into your body. As a psychologist, I think it has a mental component as well. We stay here for a period of time doing nothing and giving our bodies that permission to do nothing. So I'm going to be here with you for about another minute and a half or so. I hope that you can stay with me for that long. And then if you want to stay in this rest position beyond this last minute, I highly encourage it. You can turn me off and stay here as long as you'd like. Allow the effects of both time and gravity to do their work here. Feeling even a little more release with time, a little bit more release, effects of gravity. You can add a mental component to that as well, simply by taking your attention to different parts without moving those parts, just reminding those parts to soften. So that might be something like left shoulder, soften, left arm, soften, left hip, soften, left foot, soften. You notice I'm going with the parts of the body that are touching the ground. And then I'll come up the other way. Right foot, soften. Right hip, soften. Right shoulder, soften. The only thing I'm doing is taking my attention to each point, adding with the back of my head, or ending with the back of my head. soften. And then I'll join you in one more deep breath. And I have my hands resting on my body. As I breathe in, I can feel my body swell with breath. As I exhale, I can slowly release that air, being conscious of letting that air go. Okay, what did you think of that practice? I'd love to hear. Please let me know in the comments below. Remember that if you give me a thumbs up to like this video, YouTube will know to recommend it to others. If you subscribe to my channel, YouTube will know to recommend more things to you. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope to see you back here soon.